Hey guys, I'm sorry I can't be there with you today. We are going to be talking about the law of conservation of mass, which I said could be used interchangeably and say law of conservation of matter, because we were talking about matter. We've been talking about atoms and matter and elements and compounds and mixtures. Yesterday, we took a look at how we can physically separate mixtures, and we know that they're mixtures because we can physically separate them. Today, we're going to take a look at some chemical reactions. And remember, I said that in the law of conservation of matter or mass, and this is in your notes, we state that mass, and used interchangeably with matter, cannot be created or destroyed within a system. And we talked a little bit about a closed system versus an open system. And I think I mentioned this to all of you, but I want to say it one more time. You can think of a closed system as our classroom with its doors closed. You know, if the doors are closed, you can't leave, can't enter. Okay, so kind of think of locked doors. The same is true if I have a closed system that I'm completing a chemical reaction in. No matter should be able to come or go from that system. And we measure matter in the form of mass. So in a perfectly closed system, which for this worksheet, we're going to imagine everything is a perfectly closed system. That would mean that however much mass I start with is how much mass I also need to end with. Now, when we look at a chemical equation, and you can look down here at number 2, there is a right and a left side, okay? The left side is going to be your reactants, because those are the two things that are going to have a reaction. And then the right side is going to be your products, because that's what's coming out, the product of the reaction. So when you see those words, product is going to be on the right side, reaction or reactants are going to be on the left side. This little arrow in the middle simply means that a reaction is happening. Something is happening. These two reactants are going to change into something else, okay? So remember again, however much I start with, however much mass or matter I start with, is also what I have to end with. Now think about an open system. An open system is different. You can think about a classroom with its doors wide open. People could kind of come and go as they please. The same is true for an open system in a chemical reaction. If I leave a test tube uncapped, then that's an open system, and I might lose some of that matter or mass to the outside, okay? So for this worksheet, like I said, we are going to assume that all of these systems are closed, unless I tell you otherwise, okay? So we're actually going to start with number 2 first, so I can give you a really good example of this, and then we'll go up to number 1. So number 2 says, what should the mass of the product H2O, so we've dealt a lot with H2O, be if 50 grams of hydrogen gas, H2, so here we go, it says I've got 50 grams of hydrogen gas, H2, reacts with 30 grams of oxygen gas, O2. So here it says I have 30 grams of O2. Now, don't overthink this. I have 50 and I have 30. So I start with 80 grams, because that's 50 plus 30, of reactant. And if I'm assuming that this is a closed system, which I am, that means when this hydrogen and this oxygen comes together, at the end, I should also have 80 grams, because that's what the law of conservation of matter states. Whatever I start with, I need to end with in a closed system. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Okay? All right, so let's go back up to number 1. When Billy was reacting 3 grams of baking soda with 10 grams of vinegar in a cup without a lid. Without a lid, that's going to be important. He found that the final mass was 11 grams instead of what he expected, 13 grams. We expect 13 grams because the reactants, 3 grams of baking soda plus 10 grams of vinegar, 10 plus 3 is 13. From the law of conservation of matter, that's how he assumed or knew he should have those 13 grams. Is this an open or closed system? What do you guys think? You're right. This was an open system. How do we know that? Well, from what I underlined here, it said it was without a lid. And we know that some of that mass, because it was supposed to have 13, the product was supposed to be 13 grams, but he weighed it and it was only 11 grams. Okay, so he's missing 2 grams somewhere. And they might, because it was open, it was without a lid, they must have disappeared into the outside system. Okay, so where could this missing matter have gone? Did it just disappear into thin air? No, it did not. So you should write an explanation here, and I'm not going to write it with this because it doesn't write well. Here, I could text it or write the text. I'm going to say, no, it did not disappear. It left the system to another because the system was open. Okay, so it could have gone somewhere else in the form of, we know that baking soda and vinegar create bubbles and fizzing, so it could have gone in the form of a gas, right? Because that's what bubbles are, they're gas. All right, let's go do a couple of these down here. We'll do, let's see here, I want to do A and D, and then I'll let you guys do the rest of those. So here we have copper and sulfur that are reacting. It's okay if you don't know the names of those, but you know it's Cu and S, and you know you could find the names on the periodic table. So I have 15 grams of copper, and I know these aren't perfectly aligned, but 15 grams of copper, and I have 6 grams of sulfur. Those are my reactants. If I go 15 plus 6, that's going to be 21 grams on the left side, okay, because 15 plus 6 is 21. Okay, I'm assuming this is a closed system, so when these two react, that's the arrow, a reaction is happening into copper sulfide. You don't have to know the name of that. How many grams should I expect at the end? If I started with 21, I should also expect 21 grams of the product, copper sulfide, at the end. Okay? Now let's go down to D. This one's a little bit different. We have to set up our equation a little bit differently. So I have potassium, and then I have iodine. Okay? K is potassium, I is iodine. All right. So I don't know how many grams of potassium I have, but I do know I have 4 grams of iodide, and the ending potassium iodide is the product is 15 grams. So if I have 15 grams at the end, then I know I have to end with 15 grams, and I have one of the reactants I started with. So isn't it true that I could just subtract 4 grams from 15 grams, and that will give me how much potassium I started with, because 4 grams are accounted for from the iodine, but we're still not sure for the potassium. So 15 minus 4 would be 11. So that means we started with 11 grams of potassium, 4 grams of iodine, and then we ended with 15 grams of potassium iodide. So we were missing 11 grams of potassium. That would be my answer, okay? So if we're missing from the the left side, I'm going to have to subtract. If we're missing, what we're looking for is on the right side, then we can just simply add what's on the left. I'll say that again. If we're missing from the left side, I'm going to have to subtract the left from the right. If I'm missing from the right side, I simply just add the left side up, and that will give my answer. Okay, so I trust that you can do C, E, B, and F now. All right, and if you need to use a calculator, you most definitely can. All right, find the missing the missing masses of the following reactions. Remember that reactant plus reactant is equal to product plus product. You are doing the same thing that we just did right here. However, we have 2 on each side. So that means on one side, we'll have to add those up. So reactant is 15 plus 5 grams. So that's a total of 20 grams. And then the reaction occurs, excuse me, and that reaction, I know I have 10 grams of one product, but I'm not sure how much I have of the other. So the same is true. I would just subtract the 10 from the 20 because I know this is what I have to end with. So 20 minus 10 is going to be 10 grams. So you're going to have to subtract with this one. Same thing with number 5. You just go ahead and you see which one of these equations is true, okay? Which one is equal? And I could say that too. You can kind of think of this arrow as an equal sign, okay? Because what we're starting with on the left is what has to equal what's on the right, all right? I know 3 plus 2 does not equal 1, so D would not be a correct answer. So you can go ahead and finish number 5. Okay, the last couple or few problems are word problems. So you are going to go through and read and then find the best answer for each of these. And we can go through the answers tomorrow when I'm back in class, okay? Same thing here. I have this chemical equation and we see how much of everything, how much of the product is here, how much of the reactant is here. So I just need to add these up and subtract this out to find how much zinc I'm missing. All right, and then so 53, these are going to be your answers, your options for zinc. And then 6 is going to be another word problem that I want you to try to figure out. When you're done with this today, and you can work with partners as long as the noise level is reasonable, then I would like you to grab a Nature of Science review packet. And like I said yesterday, so here is kind of what we've been through. And then I have some practice problems for you. So like I said yesterday, I would like you to take 20 minutes of your time tonight, if possible. Go through this so that you can see if you have any questions. And then we will go through the answers tomorrow on Thursday. And we'll play a review game before our test on Friday. Okay? So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.